The results revealed that all subjects had some regrowth. This ranged from 31% regrowth of the hair to 2,000% regrowth of hairs.
What? Really?
Read the numbers.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the ATP Project.
Are you laughing already? This is a serious
me.
podcast. I'm listening to this podcast because we got the tissues. Because this is a serious podcast. Because what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about hair loss, Steve, which can be a serious topic for a lot of people.
That's why I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
For those who watch us on YouTube, I'm very, very interested in this.
You should be interested in it, Steve,
I should be very, very interested
from this issue.
I suffer big time from this issue.
do.
You know, there is one thing I know about balding, though, that we're not going to cover in the podcast. But apparently, if you're bald up here, you're a good thinker. I'm pretty bald up here. I'm pointing to my forehead. Yeah, you're a good thinker.
It's more it's not really your temples, is it? It's more
I don't know, bald patches. And then my other bald patch.
The solar,
crowning, at the top
solar
there.
panel.
If you've got a solar panel there, they think that you're a good lover. You know,
but we're gonna debunk that myth.
No. But I've got both. So do I think I'm a good lover?
Oh,
is that how it works?
Probably what it is. Yeah.
But anyway, so this podcast is for me.
It is. Yeah.
Screw anyone else out there.
No, it's all about you, Steve.
It's all about me today, which is good. Now I'm 54, and most men in my age are balding. For those who are listening and don't watch the podcast, I look a bit like Chris Rock. Do you think?
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
You look nothing like Chris Rock, Steve.
I look like The Rock, don't I?
The Rock. Yeah, totally. Start looking into it.
Chris Rock. I didn't rehearse. Until I haven't rehearsed my jokes. Chris Rock. Yeah, I don't look Chris Rock. No one slapped me in the face for mentioning their wife or whatever.
No. The Rock, Steve. Yeah.
The Rock.
Yeah, totally. Exactly like
Jason Statham. That right?
Jason
Look like him too.
Yeah, completely.
Because they're almost as good looking as me, aren't they?
Almost, not quite.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, okay. So that's for those who just listen. Actually, I think Jason Statham's about my age.
Yeah, he is. He's 50. I might have looked it up once.
Oh,
I think he's like 54. 50,
oh yes,
like
and he used to dive, and I was a state diver. 56. All right, so he's too old. Way older than me.
Way older, Steve.
Way
out of my league. Way too old for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, you're only 26 now.
That's
so.
right, yeah.
But of course, he used to do diving, and I've got a confession. I was ranked number 17 in the state of Victoria for 1 metre springboard under 16 flat diving.
The things that you come out with, Steve, floor me. I've known you for how long now, and I still don't know these things. Wow, he's a talented man, isn't he?
Look, all of us baldies get together and we all know this stuff. So it's good. Now,
you sex symbols, Steve.
Now, we've got reasons for hair loss. Now, I mean, there's so many now. Obviously, men cop this a lot, and we get a thing called male pattern baldness, but the technical term is alopecia. So if you hear alopecia mentioned, it just means hair loss. So don't freak out. But there's all different types of alopecia. Yeah. But what you'd hit me with some facts about hair facts? Or what hair facts you got?
Well, I'll give you some hair facts, Steve.
All right.
I will premise we're also going to talk about females and hair loss as well. So it's not just all about the blokes. So, two blokes here that might have thinning hair.
But no. Our cameraman behind the camera has got magnificent
videographer.
hair.
I know he has got
videographer. You've got magnificent hair. I've got shit hair.
Well, that's true.
So it's all about me today. I've got balding, true. But I have got I won't say a solution, but I've got a treatments thing that I'm doing now. I've started.
Yes, you told me about this morning, and I don't know what it is.
No, I'm keeping it a bit of a secret. You spied on one of the ingredients.
I did.
But let's not give it away. And I've got data to show you how good it is.
Yes, I know. I'm
Three
excited
ingredients.
About that. I'm excited about 3 ingredients.
3 ingredients. Well, how much hair do I lose a day?
You lose about 100 hairs a day.
Really?
Steve. Yeah, you lose about 100 hairs a day. So obviously women, it's going to look like a lot more. So my hair's very, very long. So when I lose hair, it looks like I'm losing it everywhere.
And it's dark. We can say. So it's going to show up in the bottom of the shower.
It does, yeah. So about 100 hairs a day is pretty normal, for hair loss.
Whiz.
Yeah, so anyone that's, but obviously more comes out as you get older.
All right, well, let's get on some good news. Tell us about the 3 growth phases of the hair, because this is interesting too.
Yeah, so we have 3 growth phases. So we have an anagen phase. So anagen phase is the growth phase. So our hair is in this phase for 80 to 90% of the time.
Yep.
And this phase can go for 2 to 7 years. So in saying that, not every hair is in the same phase at the same time. Otherwise, you'd have no hair and then grow hair and no hair again. Yeah. So that's why it's all different. So your hair grows about 1 centimetre a month in this phase. And it lasts for about 2 to 7 years, depending on the person. So that's the phase that we want our hair in the majority of the time, because that's when it's growing. Yeah. So anagen, ana is growth, so anabolic anagen. So we want it in that phase. Next phase is your catagen phase. So same with catabolic. So that's
doesn't sound good.
Breaking down phase. So this is sort of about a 2 to 3 week transition where the growth stops. Mm-hmm. So in this phase, the blood supply is cut off to the shaft. This basically slows down that phase. So about 10% of hairs are in this phase at any one time. And then the last phase is your telogen phase. Oh. So, and this is the resting phase. So this is the phase that we don't want to be in for too long. No. So this can last for about 3 months.
Wow.
And we're going to talk about stress, but stress can cause this to be longer. Like it can be in that resting phase for a lot longer than your 3 months. And that's when you can start to see the hair loss, because you don't have that, not going back to that anagen, that growing phase.
Right.
Yeah. And then there is one more phase, but it's not really a phase. So the exogen phase when it all falls out, or when the new hair pushes the old hair out of the follicle.
That's the phase I'm in at the moment permanently, by the sounds of it.
I think you might be.
Baldy. So those phases are interesting. Now, there is 2 chemicals I want to highlight which actually help your hair grow. And they're not directly, people have heard of these things, these chemicals, but they're not directly associated with your hair, or you may not associate with the hair. The first one is insulin-like growth factor 1. Yeah. Now, if you're out there and you've listened to our Build Muscle podcast, IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, is a potent androgenic thing that grows muscles like mine. Massive.
It's massive
muscles.
Yeah.
Now, the other one that grows your hair is prostaglandin of the 2 series, so the PGE2. Now, this one is when you've got inflammation.
Yeah.
So you've got to remember, anything with an even number drives up inflammation.
Yeah.
So prostaglandin of 2 series, omega-6 oils, leukotriene B4, leukotriene B2, they're all inflammatory. So this is an inflammatory chemical that we usually think of our enemy. But I'm going to show you how oils, because oils, omega-6 oils, are very inflammatory, but they're also, some of them specifically can be very, very good for your hair. And that's one of my secret ingredients.
He's giving it away.
Giving it away. Now we were talking to one of the other staff members here who's got very bad DONS, which is the delayed onset muscle soreness. And that's driven up by certain chemicals in the body that send signals to your brain that stimulate pain, called substance P. Now, substance P is also associated with our hair as well.
It is.
Isn't that amazing?
I know. Yep, it is amazing.
I mean, like these chemicals that you think are bad, the prostaglandin 2, substance P, terrible, and that sort of thing. Now, prolactin, the last of our favourite chemicals, is one that I've probably got loads of, because look at me, I'm bald. And it does promote hair loss.
It can, yes.
So it promotes lactation in women. So if you lose a bit of hair while you're pregnant and breastfeeding, that's why.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that because, women who are pregnant, they seem to have amazing, beautiful, luscious hair. Yeah. And then when they have a baby postpartum, their hair falls out. Yeah. So a part of it is the estrogen and part of it is the prolactin. Yeah. So,
and part of it is the screaming kids causing huge stress.
The stress.
You watch me get some emails about that one. But no, look, it is. It's quite stressful having a baby and all that sort of stuff.
So I've heard, I don't know.
I know. It's just quite amazing. Look, there's lots and lots of causes for baldness and hair loss, and it's quite scary. You've written 6 common types here. You want to run through them very quickly? What the 6 common types is, and I can see myself in there. I'm number 3.
You're number 3. That's right. So telogen effluvium.
Yep.
It's diffuse hair loss. So that's sort of like a bit of you're losing hair all over. It's not any specific area. I find that to be quite common in clinic. Yep. That's what I see a lot of. Alopecia. So there's different types of alopecia. Yep. So areata, which is more your
little areas.
Yeah, little areas.
It looks very like it's been hacked at.
It does. Yeah. Some people can get like little circles or little patches. Or totalis is when they lose all of their hair, so scalp hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, that type of thing. Androgenic alopecia.
I can say that one for you because it's one I've got.
It is one you've got, yes.
Classic.
And we're going to talk a lot about this one, actually.
I know, good.
Yeah, so this one's very common. Again, men and women can both get androgenic alopecia.
Okay.
tinea capitis,
Yep.
which is like a ringworm on the scalp. Not as common. You don't see that as commonly. And then the last two, which are just a mouthful to say. So one of them, I'm going to give it a crack, is trichorexis nodosa.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. So that's chemicals or, some sort of trauma to the hair, so chemicals, breakage, that type of thing. And then the last one is
trichotillomania.
Thank you very much.
And that's where people have a mental health disorder, but they chew on their hair and they pull their hair and eat it, and it's just So it's a little bit more like not so much hair loss, but it's they're he's part of it,
essentially. And that one can have a relationship with stress, which is what we're going to talk about.
Stress,
as well.
geez.
So, and you can have more than one type of hair loss at once. It doesn't have to be just one.
So you could be on number 3 and something else.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know.
This is all bad news so far.
It is all bad news.
But we do have to, the elephant in the room is hormones.
Yes.
So there is something to do with hormones here, because you got beautiful hair, I've got shit hair. Mine's grey and bald, and yours is dark and lush.
Well, I will say that I have experienced hair loss myself. Quite significant hair loss. So back years ago, about 18 years ago.
So you were 7 years old,
I was 7 years old. I used to have very, very, very thick hair. And I went through a significant life trauma, life-changing trauma, which caused a lot of stress for a lot of years. So my hair fell out. I lost half my hair. So to the point where I was pulling off handfuls off my shirt. So it was falling out in handfuls. And we'll talk about stress, but it didn't happen at the time of the event. Right. It happened sort of 12 to 18 months later.
Wow.
I mean, the stress was still there, but it waited till a little bit later. So I have experienced hair loss. So I understand how traumatizing it can actually be, particularly for a woman.
Oh, for a woman, yeah.
Yeah, it can cause severe, depression for a lot of people. They don't want to go out, or women particularly don't want to go out. They don't want to be seen with, And look, initially when I was lucky that I had a lot of hair, because people didn't notice it. I noticed it a lot. But I didn't want to go out. I was so embarrassed that I wouldn't look people in the eye. I would wear hats.
Wow.
Worst story ever. I ordered a wig.
Really?
Paid $4,000 for this wig, this weave thing. Never got it. He ran off. So he screwed me over.
What?
He screwed me over, which is good in the long run, because I didn't really need one, I don't think. But in my mind, I was bald. And I look back at photos now and I was not bald. But definitely my hair was thin all through. All through my scalp it was very thin. So I mean, we joke, and there's lots of jokes about hair loss, but it can be quite significant for people, particularly women. So we will talk about some key drivers of hair loss.
Okay.
And then at the end, we'll talk about some possible solutions. I mean, we don't want to say that we know how to fix people's hair loss, but there are some of these drivers. We correct the underlying driver, and I'll say this more so for women, but even men, where it isn't androgenic alopecia, it can definitely help with their hair regrowth as well. So hang out for those.
I know. We've got good news at the end. And
we have got some good news.
And we've got, we have to, the elephant in the room is the hormonal imbalances with the high androgens for men.
Yeah.
Now we... men have more androgens, which are more male-orientated hormones like testosterone, and there's a very potent androgen called dihydrotestosterone, DHT.
Yeah.
And we get lots of that. And 5-alpha reductase, the enzyme, turns testosterone in men into dihydrotestosterone.
That's right.
And this is one of the drivers of hair loss in men.
Yes.
Now, without going too much into drugs, there is a drug that can reverse that, which is finasteride.
Yes.
I've tried it.
Have you?
A few years ago.
Oh, you're going to tell us your experience.
It wasn't very good. The problem with taking drugs that modulate potent androgens is you get less potent androgens. Now, for those who don't know, if you're a woman, for example, you don't understand that high androgens in a man makes you feel good.
Yes.
You feel strong. You feel, like you stress less. You feel more accomplished. You feel more confident. You feel better. Yeah, it's great for muscles, and everyone knows that shit, but it's great for the feeling you get in your brain. And when you take finasteride, when I took finasteride, that feeling went away and you become insecure and very strange feeling in your head. And in 2 weeks, I was off it. So I was like, that's not worth it. I thought I'd give it a try.
Yeah.
That was years ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't taken finasteride for absolute years.
The side effects aren't worth the hair.
No. I mean, firstly, baldness is not, like something, you're right, if you went bald, it would be, but, nowadays when you look at the TV, all of the, like we mentioned a few actors, probably The Rock is one of the biggest actors in the world, could you say? I mean,
I would say biggest and biggest.
Yeah, he's big too, isn't he?
Got some muscles apparently. I don't know.
Apparently, I don't know. Look at his body, do you?
No. I see his acting abilities.
No, I mean, as I said, he's probably one of the, and Jason Statham, I mean, they're probably the two, they're quite large actors, and it doesn't matter that they're missing hair.
No, I mean, some women love bald heads.
Really?
I do.
Really?
Yeah, I like a bald head. Yeah, well, I should premise, I like a shaved head.
Mine's shaved?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not fully shaved.
No.
I go to a number.
Doesn't really qualify.
I go to the this lady who does my hair, and she's doesn't speak good English, so I say a number 2, and I hold the 2 up around the sides, and a number 4 on top, and that's my haircut. That's it.
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
No, I like the buzz cut. But you got to have a nice. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
You got to have nice hair, not
nice
like
shaped
me.
head, like it's a lumpy head. But no, I quite like a man with a shaved.
Do I have a lumpy head?
No, I don't think so, Steve.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No,
but no, I like a shaved head. I think it's quite masculine myself.
Yeah.
I think if you look, I probably got upset some people here, but I think if you're going to go bald, for a male.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better not to try and hide it.
Can I get what about a toupee? I'm looking at those.
Toupee.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Steve, just don't go out in the wind.
Yeah. No, you get one glued to your head.
Oh,
but
do you?
The comb over.
Yeah, the comb
in my
over.
day growing up.
And it was all slicked and it
was
just
all
come
slicked.
up in one here.
Yeah, and it was to cover the bald patch.
Yeah.
You grew it from the side of your ear here.
Because that just fooled everybody.
Oh, yeah. And it's like it's the best comb overs,
I know.
They're gone now.
No, you just got to shave it. Just accept, just shave. I mean, you don't have to fully accept it, but there's things you can do. But yes, high androgen. So, and this can also be quite common in women.
Yeah.
So PCOS, one of the symptoms is polycystic ovarian syndrome, can be androgenic alopecia. That can be one of them. Or other conditions that will cause high androgens, insulin issues, that type of thing. So not uncommon in women either. And we can probably just do a very, very small sort of comment on menopause when we get to it. But I think a lot of that hair loss in menopause is that androgen imbalance as well.
Yeah.
You see a lot of women post-menopause that can be a little bit thinner on top as well. So that's so androgen driven also.
Oh, yeah, androgens in women are bad for hair because you actually end up with some facial hair if you get too many androgens.
Yeah, women generally, well, I mean, even men, they seem to lose it on their head and they get hairier nose and ear.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's growing out of the nose and the ear.
I haven't seen data on that, but that's
I haven't seen data, but anecdotally, I see it everywhere.
Yeah. I see it in the mirror every freaking morning. I've got hair. And you do get more hair other places. That's just terrible.
In a beard, so when younger men, they grow a beard, but as you get older, you see men grow thicker beards.
Yeah.
So their hair gets thinner, but their face gets thicker. Their facial hair gets thicker.
Jeez.
And that's the androgens in the skin. So there's androgens in the skin. We have androgens on our scalp, androgen receptors. And depending on how many androgen receptors you have on your scalp can dictate a lot of how you're going to go bald or where you're going to be balding, that type of thing. Yeah.
Now, you're listening to a podcast about, because this finasteride stuff's terrible to take orally. What if you put it topically on your head? What happens?
Well, it works quite well.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is you have to use it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you stop, because it's not making your hair grow back.
No.
It's stopping the hair you have falling out. Pretty much. So it puts you in more that adagen phase, that growth phase, for longer. So you have less hair fall, but as soon as you stop taking it, the hair falls out again. Yeah.
And then you feel like crap. And we know it's linked to impotence too.
Yeah.
So, it's just, and as you age as a man, that becomes a problem too. And we could do a podcast on that.
Well, we could, yeah.
Don't want to talk about that though. But but this is like if this is a problem to you, I mean, there are people who, and I don't fully understand it, but men that go and get the hair implants. And there's a guy on social media that he does this charmy comedy thing. Like we watched some comedy where you were telling me about Anatoly and that.
Yeah.
But this is another one, a bunch of Aussie young guys. And this young guy, he's about 30, he had actual hair transplant.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot on social media. A lot of the fitness and the male influencers are not promoting, but they're showing that they're actually getting hair transplants. So it seems to be getting more and more common. Younger men, I guess a lot of men, I don't know, they're very much in the fitness and the muscles and that sort of thing. They seem to be losing their hair a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent because men are very, very self-conscious about losing their hair, particularly at a younger age, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 54, so I'm sort of like, I'm losing hair, so what? Most people my age are losing their hair to some degree.
Yeah.
Now, mine's not horrific, but it's not, it's getting
It's not too bad, Steve. I mean, I've seen worse.
I've seen worse.
But from 50 on,
Yeah.
men and women you start to know, well, it's not that you lose your hair from 50 on. You start losing your hair in your 30s.
Yeah.
It's just you notice it because it's over time, obviously it's not growing back as fast, and then sometimes it's not growing back at all in certain follicles. So you notice it. So by the time you're 50, generally that's when you start to notice the thinning, but it's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, I noticed it in my 30s a bit once when we were on a fun run, and there was all these videos of me running past them, and when I was running away from the camera, I went, God, I'm going bald.
Oh, really?
And then it's like, and it's like, it's not like it wasn't, you could see the scalp.
Yeah, okay.
And it's like, hang on a second.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like my head. Surely I had my nickname was Curly when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have curly hair?
I had long curly hair.
Did you, Steve?
Down to my
You're
breast.
You're going to have to send us
I'll show you photos
of that.
I was in a band, so.
Well, that's true. You had the 90s and the 80s hairdo.
Yeah. I started growing, I had a mullet in the 80s.
Did you?
So, I was cool.
Oh, that's funny.
I had all the chicks just.
Of course, I bet. Yeah, that's your mullet. Well, the mullet's back now, so I don't know how it came back, but it's back.
I'll grow it and I'll get a comb over it at the same time as a mullet.
Yeah,
Does that work?
Do it, Steve. And no, actually I won't say the last bit.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to say
it. Look, Becca will love me if I get a mullet, I'm sure.
I'm sure she would love it.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about this 5-alpha reductase stuff, but there's things that can actually increase it and speed it up. And you've mentioned PCOS as one of them, but what else can speed it up?
So elevated insulin.
Right.
So PCOS is related to insulin and testosterone. So elevated insulin levels, PCOS, as I said, inflammation.
Yep.
So particularly in the scalp, so that can cause issues as well with your 5-alpha reductase. Hypertriglyceridemia.
Yep. So that's high triglycerides fat in the blood. Emia. Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. And obesity. So that's due to inflammation, that type of thing.
Yep.
So there's some of the reason. There's some of the things that
it can be genetic too.
It can be genetic. We didn't cover that.
What's the polymorphism? Remember all those letters and numbers that you...
The 5RD, 5A2.
That's it.
Polymorphism, Steve.
That's it. That's the one. 5RD.
So the type 2 5-alpha reductase makes the most DHT compared to type 1.
Yep.
It's
still bad for your prostate too.
It is. So, that's exactly right. So a lot of some of the solutions that we're going to talk about, or some of the things that can slow it down, are treatments for prostate issues as well.
Well, finasteride and Durestide are prostate drugs.
Because that's driven by the 5-alpha reductase as well.
Wow. And you mentioned menopause in women.
Yeah, so menopause, this is post-menopause or even perimenopause, you can start to notice it a bit, but menopause and post-menopause, you can start to see a significant thinning of the hair. There is a factor with estrogen. So estrogen does help with hair growth and hair health and that sort of thing. And, of course, estrogen is anabolic as well, so it grows. So the reduction of estrogen definitely is a factor. So estrogen and progesterone help to keep the hair in that anagen phase, in that growth phase. So when we lose our estrogen and progesterone as women, that can have a factor. And also the androgens. So we don't lose androgens the way we lose estrogen and progesterone postmenopausally. So obviously women still have testosterone, and that's really important. But we don't lose that to the degree. So then there becomes an imbalance.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like when we talk about estrogen-progesterone ratios. Yeah. We may not have high estrogen, but if we've got low progesterone, we'll still have the symptoms of estrogen dominance.
Right.
It's the same postmenopausally. So we might not have elevated levels of androgens, but because we've got low estrogen and progesterone, we get the symptoms of high androgens.
I get you.
And that's like with that, the mid belly fat, that sort of thing that comes on, and that weight that comes on postmenopausally, that's related to androgens and insulin. So that's coming back to that insulin picture. So that can be why women lose a lot more hair postmenopausally. So, and there's things that we can do to help that as well.
Of course. And you mentioned also women's more common to have hypothyroidism. That plays a role too.
Yeah, that does play a role. See, I have a theory. I don't know if it's really the right theory, but I'm going to look into this a lot more because I'm doing a lot more research into thyroid. I question whether it's fully the thyroid that's causing the hair issue, because I treat women who have thyroid issues who don't have hair loss, and I do treat women that have hair loss with the thyroid. So if it was overt thyroid that was doing it, that everyone that had hypothyroidism would have some degree of hair loss. So what is going along with it? And then my theory is when we have issues with the thyroid, it's not the thyroid that's the problem, it's something that's triggering the thyroid to respond in that way, whether that be obesity, whether that be inflammation, whether that be infection, that type of thing. So I question whether that is the case, but losing that outer third of the eyebrow, that's pretty classic thyroid. Yeah. So there is still DHT in that sort of thing in your eyebrow hair as well. So, but yeah, I don't know whether fully it's thyroid, but this is just my own opinion. But
it's our show. We can tell what we want.
I can say whatever we want. And I think if it was thyroid that caused it across the board, then everyone that had thyroid issues would lose their hair. Yeah, would have some thinning hair, and not everyone does.
Not everyone does. Yeah.
No. So, but definitely hypothyroidism is a factor, and it's whatever could be driving that thyroid condition that could be causing the hair loss possibly.
Wow.
So that's just
So it's really interesting. So that's another cause of hair loss. Another one is, of course, stress. You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, stress.
And you personally mentioned it earlier, but there's a really great biochemical pathway starting with the pituitary in the brain and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible, isn't it? You want to talk it through?
So we have heard about the HPA axis. Obviously, everyone's heard about the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis.
Good. Yep.
So the skin actually has its own HPA axis.
Yes.
So skin, obviously, that includes the scalp. So the skin, scalp has that HPA axis independent of the systemic, cortisol production and that type of thing. So the stress response obviously can happen systemically, but it can happen locally on the scalp as well. So say someone is tested for, their adrenal profile, so they're getting their cortisol and that sort of thing checked. That may be normal, but they could still be producing a lot of cortisol in the scalp. Whoa. That could be causing issues as well. So it doesn't, sort of that more local HPA or cortisol production isn't impactful systemically as much, but we don't know fully. It's like everything in medicine that we learn, we then have to learn something else because they've shown, we have so much testing and availability now, we can look into things so much more than we could even 10 years ago. That old theories now have to be re-looked at because they don't, we've seen, different sort of scenarios. So, but who knows in the future whether that sort of more local scalp or skin cortisol does have more of a systemic impact. We don't know.
It's incredible because, that'll break down the skin and cause, terrible skin. You get a high cortisol there. It's terribly catabolic.
So, so a lot of inflammation. So you've got a lot of different things going on with histamines. You've got obviously inflammation, then you've got stress related to that. So they all combine to cause issues. But if you're someone that suffers from histamine issues and significant allergies, seasonal allergies or other histamine type issues, we've got a histamine podcast coming out at some point.
Nice.
I'm just looking at that. I don't know when it's coming out.
You never know.
May have, I don't know.
It's in the can.
But then you find that you're getting more hair loss, and it's more diffuse hair loss more than that sort of patchy. Elevated mast cells can be a factor.
Incredible. Now, because you've disclosed you've got histamine problems, just before this podcast, and we're going to cut this out if you're not allowed to comfortable saying this, but you got bitten by a tiny little insect on your arm and it swelled up really red.
No, you can't really see it as much now.
It's not now, but it was like vicious.
Yeah, no, it was. It was vicious.
I go camping on Fraser Island with all the mites and bite me and I don't give a shit.
I can't. Well, I think I mentioned in another podcast where I live, I got a treadmill because I can't go outside with the midges now. They come on at dusk, and so I can't walk in the evenings anymore.
See, they just don't worry me. It's just one man's food's on menopause.
Yeah,
it's just classically, so I've got really no problems with it. So it's funny how you've got that.
I do. I mean, look, and I manage my histamines quite well, but I have genetic propensity towards issues. So I have to just be careful that I don't get overloaded with them. So any type of immune reaction can cause a factor for me. So the mast cells is, it's not an uncommon thing with hair loss.
Wow. So therefore, if you get bad allergies, could that be related to hair loss?
Yeah, if you find that you do have a lot of histamine issues and things, and obviously listen to the histamine podcast when it comes out, if it's not already out.
Might be out.
And you are suffering from thinning hair or you'll find your hair's falling out more, it could be a contributing factor to or the driver of your hair.
There's so many factors now. Nutritional insufficiencies.
This is quite common.
Yeah, you want to hit us with a few. There's a couple of minerals that I'm...
Well, I mean, low iron everyone knows about.
Well, do they?
Well, I would assume they did.
Wow.
Maybe that's not as commonly known as possible.
Remember.
Well, that's true, I suppose. But yeah,
people
low
don't
iron.
know about people don't know about low iron causing hair loss.
Low iron can definitely cause hair loss. So iron, it plays a key role in hair growth.
Yep.
It's also red blood cells contain hemoglobin, which carries oxygen around your body. So we need to oxygenate our scalp to help with the growth. Also helps with getting nutrients to the scalp as well. So low iron really common with hair loss. And fun fact, to get your hair to start to grow again, you need your ferritin levels above 70.
Ooh.
So the research shows.
Okay, so ferritin should be from 30 to 300. So if you get a test of 40, you could be in problem with your hair.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people, I like to see ferritin. Well, I mean, it depends on the person that, someone could do really well on a ferritin level of 30 and someone might feel terrible unless their ferritin's over 60. So, anywhere from 65 to 85 is good for women, cycling women. So, but then and this is the thing where if you've got hair loss and there could be an inflammatory driver, inflammation will drive up ferritin.
Of course it does.
You can't kind of look at ferritin as a standalone marker. Yeah. If you've got inflammation, it may be a false kind of reading. So if you don't have any inflammation and you just have iron deficiency for whatever reason, because there's a reason behind that as well, get your ferritin levels up to 70 before you can start to see any sort of improvement in your hair growth. So that's really interesting.
Now, old men take zinc for their hair. What's that all about?
Yeah, so zinc, it's a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor.
Right. Now, that's our enemy when it comes to hair.
Yeah.
Because 5-alpha reductase makes too much DHT. DHT causes a male pattern baldness. Right. So zinc inhibits that. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It also helps with the production of keratin.
Keratin, yeah.
So hair is made out of keratin. And it's needed for skin health as well. Also immunity. So if we've got good immunity, we'll have less sort of inflammatory sort of things coming in possibly. So zinc is really important as well. PPI use is really common, and we've talked about proton pump inhibitors. Yep. We've talked about that before. Yep. That can cause a lot of nutrient deficiencies. And I saw a client once, I think it was a long time ago, so I don't think they listened to this, but they were on a PPI for 25 years. They had they were totally bald. Totally bald. They had their fingernails were falling out. They had no hair. They had no eyebrows. They had no eyelashes because they were so depleted nutritionally because the PPI had just caused malabsorption. Also stress, and then stress is related, as we said, to hair loss as well, and that can impact your digestive function, which can cause nutrient deficiencies as well. So, and there's, so many other nutrients that are involved, and there's also biotin, that type of thing. So nutrient deficiencies is a common one also.
Well, and it's incredible because PPIs mentioned, they're very common. They proton pump inhibitors are antacids.
Yeah.
So there's millions, and antacids are over the counter.
I know, they're terrible.
Have you seen that? I won't mention the brand name, but it's a potent, used to be a prescription.
Yeah.
And now you can get it buy it from the pharmacy, not even S3, so it's an S2. Yeah. So you just buy it from the pharmacy and take it to the front checkout, and there you go. But the people on it for, as you said, 25 years. It's incredible.
Oh, it's crazy, yeah. Well, they say up to 6, I think it's 2 to 6 weeks or 2 to something weeks maximum for PPIs.
Wow.
People are on them for years. So.
Years and years.
Yeah, so no, it's not good. So nutrient deficiencies, inflammation, as we said, can be a factor as well. Androgenic alopecia, other hormonal imbalances, so estrogen issues, progesterone, and androgens for women as well. And then the stress is a really significant factor. And I think this is probably underplayed a little bit in hair loss. But stress, if we can't get our stress under control, chronic stress, obviously acute stress is a little bit different. But chronic stress can definitely cause that. It forces your hair into that resting phase.
Resting phase, yeah.
So, if you're chronically stressed and your hair is in that continual resting phase, then you're not going to have new growth. The longer that the hair follicle isn't in the growth phase, it can start to miniaturize as well. Same with the DHT, the 5-alpha. It miniaturizes the hair follicle.
Yep.
And obviously the smaller it gets, it starts to strangle, and then the hair falls out and the hair follicle dies. So men who, going back to the androgenic alopecia, men who are bald, pretty much there's not much you can do. If you haven't had your hair grow for quite some time, then pretty much there's not much you can do. That's it. It's done.
You just shave it. Look like The Rock.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a shame.
There's nothing left to shave. They just polish it.
What was that really famous actor who was bald in the old days? He died of lung cancer. Big smoker. Yul Brynner.
Oh, Yul Brynner.
He was a hot dude, wasn't he?
Oh, no.
Oh, wasn't he? I thought he was a sex symbol and all that.
I don't know. He was before my time. How do you think I am, Steve?
Oh, yeah, you watch the old movies.
Oh, yeah.
He only died in 1969, I think.
I wasn't even born in 1969.
I was.
I know you were.
Shit. But no, I'm sure his name was Yul Brynner.
He was Yul Brynner.
Yeah, he's the bald guy.
Yeah,
Really.
and he used to have a cigar all the time.
Yeah, and he used to suck on a lollipop too. Yes,
a lollipop, not a cigar.
That's right.
And he had a bald head.
Yeah.
But apparently that shine, that's the DHT apparently. Apparently so, yeah. So that shininess to the, no, it's the DHT. But
God, I wonder if I've got a shiny head.
I could be wrong. That's maybe anecdotal. But
jeez, everyone's going to be looking at my head then.
You do see some bald men who have quite a shine to their scalp.
Oh,
and some don't. So, yeah.
Well, the Rock, he's got a shiny head.
He's got a shiny head, yeah.
Yeah. You look at the way his dewy eyes in it. Is he that good looking?
Yeah. Anyway, I have a boyfriend. He actually doesn't watch this, so I can say whatever I want. I like big muscles, yeah. I like muscular. He's quite muscular, Steve. I don't know if you've ever noticed The Rock, yeah.
Oh, Chavo, what? He's awesome body.
Yeah, so no, he's very good, a talented actor. That's why.
I love the way you're sort of skipping around the back. He's just hot, He's a good-looking guy.
He's a good-looking guy.
Got a bit of coin too, I guess. All right, so we've kind of like giving everyone a bit of bad news now. So what can we do? Do you want me to start with some medical treatments? We'll rush through them because I want to get to some cool ones at the end, some natural ones.
Yeah. So I think sorry, Steve, I completely.
That's right. Go for it.
What I will say before we go into these treatments is anything outside of the androgenic alopecia. So inflammation, stress, that type of thing, or hormonal imbalances in women, they treat the cause of that. Always. So we're not just working on treating the hair in these people and the nutrient deficiencies. We're treating the cause of the hair loss, and therefore the hair should grow back. So these solutions are more for that androgenic alopecia type look in men, sometimes women, and then obviously you can do some of these solutions in combination with while working on the underlying driver of the hair loss.
Exactly.
And
Oh yeah, these are just these are the medical treatments. We'll run through them, and I'll include over-the-counter stuff. They're medicines. And they've all got side effects, so check with your doctor, blah, 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 all the disclaimers. Please do that because, as I said, with finasteride, that was my experience. Someone might take finasteride or Durastide, which inhibits A and B, the two 5-alpha reductase enzymes, and it may help them dramatically and they may have little side effects, but you've got to check it out. Also, it's an old drug, minoxidil, which is an anti-hypertensive drug from the 80s,
exactly.
From my era. Yeah. And we'd give it to them, keep knocking the microphone.
I know.
We used to give it to people for high blood pressure.
Yeah, because it has a dilator.
It had a terrible side effect where it caused severe hair growth throughout the body.
Oh, throughout the body? Throughout
the body.
Oh, okay.
All over the body.
All over?
Everywhere.
Wow.
Arms, chest, everything.
Oh, wow.
Men and women.
And women?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it wasn't a very popular until somebody cottoned onto it and said, hang on, this might be good for
hair growth.
hair growth. And studies against finasteride show it's much more effective.
Yeah.
And if you take a lower dose, the standard tablet's 10 milligrams. But if you take about 5 milligrams or less, even down to 2 milligrams, you get the androgenic effect, the hair effect, without getting the blood pressure effect. So you got to remember, now think about being an older man like me. Our blood pressure is my blood pressure is very healthy.
Yeah.
Because I'm healthy.
Yeah.
But the average man my age, their blood pressure is usually slightly elevated.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about your baldness and you're worried about your blood pressure, which a lot of guys are, this could be an option for you to talk over with your doctor. It's just if you want to go the medical route. I've got a better one.
Yeah.
But now let's say you don't want to take things orally. You can use minoxidil as a hair thing, and there's loads of them. There's brand names. You can get them over the counter, and you just dab them on twice a day, and they'll help with your hair growth. Yeah. And a lot of the studies I'm going to show later compare topical minoxidil with some natural treatments. So we're going to show you some treatments with that.
Yeah. Now there are obviously the side effects people have to be aware of. So even with the minoxidil, topically, if you go too much, you can still have symptoms of low blood pressure. So dizziness, that type of thing, maybe a bit of edema, that sort of thing. So you want to be careful. You don't want to load up on it. You want to start with the recommended dose and be patient because sometimes it can take a while. So some people might use it for a week and then go, well, nothing's happening, so they double the dose. And then they can start to have some side effects or some symptoms of maybe low blood pressure with the minoxidil. So just be careful with your doses. Work with your GP.
Yeah, well, with topical, you get it over the counter.
Well, that's it. So you want to just be really careful.
Costs a fortune, though.
Yeah, and that's what you have to remember. Once you start, you can't stop, or when you do stop, you're just going to lose your hair again. So you have to make that decision before you start.
It's pretty shitty, isn't it? There's no cure for this. But the fact is that this is an option. So there is an option. So there's other topical like spirulactone. That's an old drug that we used to give in the olden days.
Well, that's still given to women for PCOS.
PCOS,
yeah.
My father-in-law's got a great story about spirulactone when he was graduating in 1969 medicine, but I won't talk about it here. But it's a fascinating drug treatment trial. So it's on someone who had severe kidney and fluid problems. But anyway, interesting stuff.
Oh, so you're going to throw the line in and then just not?
Yeah. No, it's a long story. It's beyond the scope of this. It was nothing to do with health.
We'll save that one for next time.
But there are lots of other treatments like low-level laser therapy for the scalp?
Yeah, so that one, I mean, it's a bit, there's not a lot of research around it, but there is a little bit. So, and red light therapy as well is getting quite popular.
Yeah, that stimulates blood flow. And remember, blood flow is part of the problem.
Yes.
A large part of the problem.
Yeah, so getting blood flow to the scalp is really important. But, I mean, how many people can walk around all day doing that sort of thing? So it's hard to get that much blood flow that continually to have a huge effect. But
actually, I've got a story for you. Yeah. When I was in America, it's about 10 years ago at an anti-aging conference, I was selling these low-level laser caps. So you could wear a cap and it'd be shining on your head all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you just walk around with a cap on all day?
Yeah, but it cost thousands of dollars.
Of course it did.
I looked at
anything hair
I thought it might be $50 I'd buy one. But I care a little bit about my hair, but not enough to spend the thousands of dollars on it.
That's the problem with a lot of these hair treatments is because they play on people's emotions because it can be quite, as we said, traumatizing for a lot of people. So they will pay anything. So a lot of them are kind of charlatans. They charge way too much for these things because I know people are desperate.
Well, it's one of those things that and this is a little bit like cosmetic medicine, is it blows me away what people spend on themselves to cosmetically look better. Yeah. I mean, and we're talking about mainly men today, but women do this. They spend an absolute fortune on things that
you don't. Have you seen this show Botched?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, my God. The things that women do to their bodies, it floors me.
It floors me too. And for men, it's like it floors me what men do for their hair. Yeah, it's not that important.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not. Like I said, men are quite masculine with no hair. So guys out there, just let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
But if you don't want to let it go and you're younger, there's things you can do. So, and
I'm going to compromise a bit later and give you some solutions that are not going to break the bank and are not dangerous.
No, that's right.
And may help. Got evidence for it to help. So it's very good. So there's PRP treatment, which is plasma-rich platelet-rich plasma.
Yeah, that's becoming more popular. There's still early, so research is still a little bit not great on that, but that's becoming quite popular and starting to show good promise. So platelet-rich plasma, PRP.
They use it for the skin too, and women use that a lot for all sorts of things.
Lots of different things, right? Joints as well, all sorts of things. So that's quite common in the US.
Now, I've got my favourite, the next one here, hair transplants.
Yeah, hair transplants. Again, like I said earlier, that's becoming really popular as well.
Is it?
I used to know a few people that used to go to Turkey. I don't know why everyone went to Turkey. It must be cheaper over there to get their hair transplants. So... yeah.
It's like you really just go bald, wouldn't you? I mean, after transplants, like you get the hairs.
Well, it's a bit different than remember plugs?
Yeah.
They used to have plugs, and you could tell it was pretty horrendous. But they're quite natural now, so they're obviously technology's improved. But they basically take a strip of skin from the back of your scalp, and then they put on the top, and that transplant the hair follicles. So the dead ones on the top, obviously they're dead. So they're the ones that are still growing hair from the back, because generally the back of the hair is where you will least likely lose hair. Yeah. So they take it from there. And I mean, as I said, I've seen on social media that men who log the progress of doing it. It's quite fascinating.
And it's funny because when we were prepping for this podcast, our videographer sent some videos of the olden days of some hair.
Well, you can't say who was in one of them, but the cricketers, a lot of the cricketers did it. The cricketers did it.
Yeah. And so and there are, I won't mention brand names, but I know on the top of my head that where there people actually go just for hair treatments.
Yeah. Well, like I said, when my hair fell out, didn't all fall out, but when I thought I was bald and I wasn't, I was looking for any solution I could find. I mean, as I said, this was 18, 17 something years ago. So I was looking at the red light therapy and the laser therapy and the hair weave things and all. It was so expensive, but I would have done anything. And I'm just glad that the guy did run off with my money and didn't get the wig, because you got to glue the thing on and all this horrible stuff. So probably would have done more damage to my scalp than anything.
Well, one mob that I know of that is huge in Australia, and I let me know if we can say this, so bleep it out if we can't, but Ashley and Mutton Hair Studios.
Yeah. Oh, is that different?
I don't know. Is that all right to say that? I mean, it's like they're absolutely huge. They're on every ad. There's TV. So there must be a market out there for what we're talking about.
There is. There's anything cosmetic related, anything to help people's appearance, people will pay a lot of money for, which in one way I find, I guess, is a little bit sad, because it's not what you look like on the outside, but I guess that's really important to a lot of people.
Can I give a pet peeve that I was saying to my wife last night? I was like, and I won't mention names, but some people spend thousands cosmetically and do nothing for the body.
I see that a lot.
You see that a lot?
A lot.
Yeah, women.
They will spend thousands and thousands on their face, but they won't exercise.
All sorts of treatments that every week there's a new treatment.
It's like anything. It's like diet pills and anything. Yeah. We're going to do a podcast on weight loss tomorrow, I think, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So, but anything diet related, everyone wants the quick fix. They don't want to do and there is no quick fix to anything.
There is none.
No matter what anyone tries to sell you.
Good, but it's a process.
Yeah, it is a process.
Good. So you've got some natural treatments here. I like this one. Yeah. Scalp massage. I love a good scalp massage.
Yeah, so do I. Who doesn't
I love massage? It.
So that's, again, just bringing blood to the area, bringing nutrients, oxygenating the area, that type of
thing.
thing.
I'm doing it on camera now.
You get those metal ones. But scalp massage, gentle brushing. I used to lay on the bed with my head over the edge of the bed and let the blood rush to my head for half an hour a night.
Because that's one of your treatments here is going in inversion poses.
Yeah, inversion poses. So obviously blood gets to the scalp. But again, you kind of got to do it for more than 10 minutes a day to have it really be worthwhile. But don't let your product and things in your hair. So women, don't let product build up in your hair for too long, because it will clog the pores and that sort of thing.
I find something very interesting about women. I wash my hair every day because look at it. It's about 5 to 10 millimetres depending. Yeah, and I just use bloody cheapo soap, right? It's disgusting. I don't use shampoo in it because it's not really hair. It's more stubble. It is. So it's true, isn't it?
It's true. Yeah.
So, but women don't wash their hair every day, do they?
No, I wash my hair probably every 4 days. Wow. Sometimes 6, but if I'm lazy. But maybe every 4 days. And I probably could go longer.
Really?
Yeah. Because you don't want to wash it too often, but you don't want to never wash it either. So but some people have quite oily hair. So if you have oily hair, you probably want to wash it a little bit more, though the oil is there for a reason. I used to work with a lot of, I'll probably upset people too, Gen Z now, or
those
whatever.
Guys.
I don't know what age they are. The 20s.
Yeah, the 20-year-old.
I worked in a place in Melbourne that was quite big on alternative living.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them would never wash their hair.
What do you mean never?
Never. They would go months and months without washing their hair. But it got to the point where the oils in their hair settled down to the point where their hair didn't seem to get dirty. It didn't look dirty to me. I don't know. I didn't look closely.
I find that horrific.
But yeah, so you don't need to wash your hair every day. Not with soap anyway. So a lot of men would just rinse their hair. They necessarily wash it with soap. But no, I use all the natural. And that's another thing as well we didn't go over. Natural products, don't use things that are chemically based because that's going to impact, your skin and then your hair as well. And it's also putting toxins into your body, which creates inflammation.
We used to use sodium lauryl ethyl sulfate in the olden days when I used to make detergents.
I mean, there's so many awful chemicals in a lot of things now. And a lot of those shampoos that make your hair sort of like nice and shiny and gleaming and sleek looking, it's full of chemical that causes that shine. Hairdressers are going to probably kill me. I'm saying the wrong thing. But as natural as possible. So I use very, very natural products. I don't use – and all my products I use are pretty natural. So you want to keep, natural products. You don't want to do a lot of that chemical like straightening, hair straightening and all that sort of thing. People colour their hairs. There's a lot of good, more organic colours available now, so they're a little bit less chemically laden, that sort of thing. So you want to keep the chemicals to the minimum. Inversion, as I said, hot and cold therapy to the scalp stimulates it as well. Yep. So it's another one. Then acupuncture, massage, lymphatic stimulation again, that type of thing. Obviously don't smoke. That's going to cause issues with your vascular system as well. Yep. And then blood sugar issues as well, as we said, which can then come back to that sort of hormonal stuff as well. So there's some things you can do at home that can be beneficial.
Yeah. And thinking of things to do at home, we got to get onto our natural treatments now because we're getting close towards the end there. Now, you got some good ones here and they're very similar to mine. And you've mentioned, I'm going to mention two herbs and we'll talk about them together. Rosemary and peppermint oil, and I've got papers on both of those.
Yeah, rosemary and peppermint. So rosemary is awesome. It's a stimulant. Yep. It improves circulation to the skin. Yep. I use it for when I'm working. So it's a stimulant, helps with cognition and that sort of thing, but it's anti-inflammatory, it's an antioxidant. So you've got the study on there, really good studies with rosemary essential oil for the scalp. Yeah,
now rosemary oil, what they did on this particular study was they took a group of people, 50 with rosemary oil and then 50 with that minoxidil stuff that we talk about, topical stuff. And they had an androgenic alopecia, they had myalopecia. Which is what the most common thing we're probably talking about here and most people listening. And they compared it over 3 to 6 months. And what they found was there was simply no difference between the groups.
Really?
They actually, minoxidil and rosemary, same.
Really?
Same. There were side effects. There was more in the minoxidil group and more of the minoxidil group dropped out due to scalp itching and irritation.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember that rosemary oil is at least as effective as minoxidil in this particular study. It was published in Skin Med, randomized controlled trial 2015. So, okay, so just that for a sec. Now, rosemary oil is very good for your brain too.
Very good. That's why I use it when I'm working to keep clarity.
Exactly. Now, let's say I'm using it for clarity and I do use this. I put it on my head.
I love you get ball patch.
Yeah, it's got a perfect spot for it, my little ball patch there. And I smell it and it gives me good clarity.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
So and I put it in oil and I'll get to what oil I put it in later.
Yeah, I'm curious I used to put rosemary in my shampoo. But obviously if you're not washing hair every day, it's going to be less effective. But you can just put some drops in your shampoo.
And it's a few, you only need a few drops.
Yeah.
And it's $14.95 at anywhere. You can get rosemary oil anywhere.
Yeah.
But isn't that incredible? It's just that. Yeah. So like if you're thinking, you know what, I just want my hair to be a little bit better, get some $14.95 and put a few drops in, it'll last you ages.
Yep.
And you can do something for your hair.
Yeah.
It's not like the most comprehensive thing.
No, and it's good for other things as well.
It's good for other things. It's got good side effects for your brain.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the other one you mentioned there was peppermint oil.
Yeah, peppermint oil.
I love peppermint oil.
Yeah, it's great.
I've got pictures of rats I want to show you.
Do you?
I do. There's nothing to do with this podcast. No, there's a lot to do with podcast. But what this paper is, and this is a beautiful paper, and it's called Peppermint Oil Promotes Hair Growth Without Toxic Signs. That's the title of the paper. So if you're wondering, so nice one. And what they did was they tested this on rats, and they tested 4 different groups. So the groups they gave were placebo, jojoba oil, because that's got an effect too.
What is it, Steve?
Jojoba oil. Yeah. What do you
Jojoba.
Jojoba oil.
That's a male. That's male. So they also. I know. Yeah, it's like when they say quinoa, they say quinoa. And
quinoa.
What was the other one? The smoothie bowls. What are they called? They had a name. Acai.
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 Yeah.
My dad calls quinoa. No, it's quinoa.
Canola.
QU.
QU.
Because that's men are very logical.
Literal. We are.
Oh, literal, yeah. And
we should do
probably logical is not the right word. Oh, my God, what was I thinking?
Well, some men are, and some men are terrible.
That's true.
Yes. Now, and then they gave the Medoxinol group, the medicated group, and then they gave them the peppermint oil group. Now, I'm going to show you, because they did it on rats because they can control them. So there was no other, they didn't use shampoos, blah, 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 blah. Now, have a look at this picture, and I want to describe it. You can see this, and I'll just show you this so we can describe it. Yes. Now, these are the rats at week 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which of those groups has the most hair?
Group 4.
Right. PA, peppermint oil.
Look at that. Peppermint, is that just straight peppermint oil?
Peppermint oil, they diluted it down. And the graphs there show that peppermint oil was far superior to Medoxinol was there, the second one down. So it's completely superior. Now, just for those people wondering about rats, probably of the 5, they got 5 rats joined together. And at the start,
actually physically.
It's not stuck. Well, it could be a little sus picture. But at the start, they had virtually no hair on their back. Yeah. And then at the end of all of them were almost completely grown back in that group.
So I think that might be the same study I've got here. It says it had a significant increase in dermal thickness, follicle number, and follicle depth from the peppermint oil.
I think that's the same study.
Yeah. So that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is exactly the same study. Okay. So I got the pictures of that, and the graphs are incredible. And if you look at the skin, it's remarkable, the change, and it was superior in every single way.
And there you go. It's a natural
thing.
Product.
So let's go back to our shampoo, and we'll call it shampoo at this stage because I haven't got to my little other secret ingredient yet.
Yes.
But you just put some peppermint oil. Now, peppermint smells beautiful.
Yeah.
And
it's
stimulating. So in the morning shower, you have your rosemary and your peppermint oil. Yeah. And I mean, this is going to help your hair.
Yeah.
This is data. This is not like, we think it could have helped.
There's papers,
this is good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're cheap. They're easy.
Easily accessible. Easy to do.
Really, really good data on those sort of things. Now, the last ingredient. Now, this is for those people who want to take it one step further and to actually apply something like you would the Medoxinol thing. You can put it in an oil, a carrier oil, so it sits on your hair all day while you're at work, and then you get home from work and put it on. So it's only twice a day.
Yeah.
So and you can put it in an oil, and the best oil to put in is hemp oil.
Hemp oil.
Hemp oil.
There you go.
Now, you know why you don't know about the study? Because it's 2023.
Oh, it's a brand new one.
The study is called Hair Regrowth with Novel Hemp Extract. So they use hemp oil on this.
Wow.
And they gave them, they put the tetrahydrocarbonate in it, so they put one the potent one and one without. So they wanted to know which it was. Now, it didn't make any difference putting in the psychedelic one, so it didn't. But you've got to remember that the results are incredible. The range. The range of percentage hair increase, you're not going to believe this. And I'm going to do it word for word. So as people don't like reading off papers, whatever, stuff it. The results revealed that all subjects had some regrowth. This ranged from 31% regrowth of the hair to 2,000% regrowth of hairs.
What? Really?
Read the numbers.
Oh my God! How long was it for? And
we'll get to all that. But isn't that remarkable?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, and this is studied on 31 people, so it's not a massive study and all this sort of stuff. And they did that, and they did it for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's completely doable. 6 months.
6 months, yeah. So the average increase was statistically significant, 246% on average in men.
Wow.
Now there were some women in here. 127% increase.
Interesting.
Remarkable in women. Wow. There was no report of adverse effects. All subjects rated their psychological perception. So they had a perception as either happy or very happy. So absolutely remarkable. Wow. So isn't it?
If you get your hemp oil.
Yep.
And then you add, I think I know what your little secret solution is, Steve-O. Get some hemp oil as your carrier. Because if in itself it's got benefits, and then you put some rosemary and peppermint oil in it, then how good's it?
That's it. Now, hemp oil, how cheap is that?
It's pretty cheap.
Pretty cheap. And you get big bottles of it. But you imagine how much you only put half to 1 mil.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you get a 5.5 litre bottle of oil and you put this, that will last you 1,000 days if you use half a mil.
It's a lot probably cheaper than minoxidil
Well,
or any of those other topical
incredibly
pharmaceutical ones.
Now, now here we go. This topical hemp, and I'm reading off a study, formulation was superior to oral finasteride, 5% minoxidil, once daily foam, and CBD topical extract alone. So what they did was when they added peppermint to it, it became superior across all of the boards, medications, you name it.
That's amazing.
So,
that actually is amazing. I hadn't read that study.
No, it's 2023.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There we go. We've just, but we shouldn't have probably said anything, Steve. We could have made a fortune with making this formulation.
All right. Now I'm going to go one step further.
Yeah.
One step further. Let's say that you still wanted to take the drug. You just, one of these people that like. The study says, since hemp extracts works through novel mechanisms entirely different from both finasteride and minoxidil, it can be used in conjunction with these current drugs and would be expected to have a synergistic effect.
Okay.
So they said, however,
do both.
Yeah, we can do both if you wanted to. Or you can just get the oil, put the essential oils in, two essential oils.
Yeah.
You can eat that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, if you get the ingestible
the ingestible essential oils,
down anything.
And I mean, at low doses. So, I mean, it's certainly non-toxic, no adverse effects.
Yeah.
Very good for you anyway.
Yeah.
Hemp oil you can ingest.
Yeah, yeah.
Peppermint that you in your toothpaste and whatever.
Yeah.
But rosemary is very good too. You can ingest it, but you don't want to. But imagine just putting that on your head every day, twice a day.
I think rosemary is an NRF2 activator as well internally.
Yep, it is. Very, very good.
Yep, very good.
Yeah, very good.
So there you go. So that's really impressive. Another one that...
what do you got for me?
I've got one, curcumin, Steve.
Oh, my God. Topically.
So it's anti-inflammatory, it's immune modulating, it's mast cell stabilizer, so any histamine issues. That's another one you could possibly try. So you could even put a bit of curcumin in with your other things, and why not? It will make your head a little bit yellow. That's the only thing.
We say blonde in
blonde, is that right?
Make it nice and blonde.
I can buy some blonde.
But isn't that remarkable what we can do now for hair? And just those three herbs plus the hemp oil as the carrier.
Yeah.
And the carrier is not the placebo, by the way.
The carrier works.
Carrier works extraordinarily well.
Yeah.
Isn't that remarkable?
It's great.
And if you just did that, now what else you got? What other little tricks and treatments?
Well, microneedling.
Ooh.
That's been around for a little while. So that's basically that. It looks like a little roller, and it's just thousands of little needles, and you roll it over your scalp.
Wow!
And the theory behind that is obviously brings blood to the surface, creates a little bit of trauma, so then they get that healing effect, stimulation. So we couldn't find a lot of papers on the effectiveness of it, but there's possibilities, potentials, but possibly adding in some of these essential oils while you're microneedling could help. Obviously, you don't want to damage your scalp too much, so you want to be really careful when you're microneedling because you don't want scarring, because when you get scarring, obviously you don't get hair growth where there's a scar.
Yeah, true.
So you don't want to have any scarring. So
my wife does this to her face, by the way.
Does she? Microneedles her face?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that do?
I don't know.
Okay.
Looks like I've beaten her up after a while.
Jeez.
It's no, she did it the other day.
Really? See, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't know. I'm so out of touch.
Oh, she does it with her mum. They have a fun day of doing this.
So I've never been to a spa.
Well, no, they do it to each other. They're bloody nurses. They, do all sorts of things to themselves.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, there you go. Maybe do on your face and your head. Don't know. So my microneedling could be a possibility. Actually, I didn't bring it in, but I did see a paper where microneedling and minoxidil combined had a fairly beneficial effect.
Good.
So obviously getting that more into the pores maybe is a factor in circulation.
Yep.
Here's another one for you, Steve. You don't hear a lot about this. I used to use this years ago. This is a Chinese herb called Polygonum multiflorum.
I know that one.
Yeah, it's called He Shu Wu.
He Wu. You're making that up now, aren't you?
He Shu Wu. Yeah, I'm making it. No, I'm not making it up. So this is what they call this is a qi tonifier. I'm not a Chinese herbalist, so I don't know a lot about Chinese.
When was it first recorded? Like how long ago AD?
812 AD.
812.
That's what I love about Chinese medicine. Chinese herbs have been, our Western herbs have been around for a long time as well. So this was first written about for the benefits of your hair in 812 AD.
Yeah.
So in animal studies, Polygonium improved hair follicles.
Yep.
Earlier entry into the anagen phase, so that growth phase.
Yep.
It slowed that phase, like that phase converting into the catagen phase. So inhibited hair follicle apoptosis, which is cell death.
Yep.
And in cell studies, it improved the papilla, which is houses the bulb in the bottom of the hair root. It reduced DHT effects in androgenic hair loss, as we were talking about.
Yep.
Supposedly stops and reverses premature graying. That I don't know about that so much now.
Well, premature graying.
Premature graying was.
I'm old, so my graying
Your graying is, but we've talked about that in the anti-aging podcast. We talked about how we can reverse hair graying in younger people.
I care less about hair graying because it's like, I think there was a guy that worked here who was my age and he had jet black hair. I won't mention his name, but the sound guy, the videographer knows him. And to me, it looked a little bit.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you might remember him.
I know, yeah.
And you sort of do it like you know.
Yeah, it looked a little bit too dark.
He had magnificent hair though.
Yeah.
You've got to give him that.
Yeah.
Gee, it was a good head of hair.
Yeah. And well, there you go. So I used it personally when my hair fell out, but I didn't address the underlying cause, so it didn't work for me because my underlying cause was stress. So He Woo can be something. Oral collagen, Steve.
Oral collagen? I'm not drinking some. I thought I was drinking some.
I had my collagen this morning in my smoothie.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to have some later when I get hungry.
Yeah.
That's not collagen.
So it stimulates collagen production, obviously.
Yep.
Improves skin elasticity.
Yep.
Improves skin hydration.
Mm-hmm.
It induced glycosamina glycogen production.
Just call them gags.
Gags for short.
Yeah.
So gags, their primary function is to support structural proteins of the skin, so collagen and elastin.
Yeah.
So it improves that. So very good for hair.
Yeah.
So collagen's good for hair. And the particular collagen peptide specifically for hair, Steve, Verisol.
Really?
Yeah. So collagen peptide, Verisol, very good for
some
hair
for my
growth.
wife. I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, it's very good for you. So that's another one. Oral silicone.
Yep.
Silicone. So liquid is better, more absorbable, improves the connective tissue, improves tensile strength and elasticity of the hair strands.
Oh, okay.
So of silicone. Mast cell stabilizers. So if you've got histamine-driven hair loss, so any mast cell stabilizers we've been over in the histamine podcast, which maybe has come out. So quercetin, nigella, resveratrol, Bakewell skullcap. Nettle. Nettle's an interesting one. Nettle's been used as a hair loss treatment for hundreds of years. You know how they used to use it because it's called stinging nettle.
Yes.
So they'd beat the people on the head with it.
I'm not doing on treatment. I'd rather go bald.
It's got little stingers in it.
They hurt.
And it caused scalp to sting. But it's very good for allergies.
Very good for hitting someone over the head with.
It's really good for that sort of thing. So that's why when you get nettle, you got to cook it if you're going to get fresh nettle because it's full of prickles.
Yeah, I'm going to get a comb over instead of that one.
Get a comb over. And then natural 5-alpha reductase inhibitors.
Oh yeah, there's herbs for that.
Saw palmetto.
Yep.
That's a really common one that a lot of people have heard about. So I've used that a lot for androgenic alopecia. The stinging nettle root, as we said. EGCG from green tea.
Nice.
Has some benefits. Reishi mushrooms.
Ooh.
Curcumin.
Yep.
Beta sotosterol.
Yep.
So a lot of these are used for prostate issues, as we said.
Of course they are.
Because obviously that 5-alpha.
It's a list of my pantry that I should be having because I'm getting old. You should have all
these in your pantry, Steve. And zinc, of course.
Zinc, yeah.
Yeah.
God.
So there's some natural herbal things that can possibly help you. We're not going to say that this is going to cure it, but they can definitely help, particularly with that androgenic alopecia type picture, which we didn't go over, the kind of presentation of androgenic compared to diffuse.
Just get a photo of me up on the screen.
Well, actually, that's a good point. We don't know we've got Steve went there. So anything sort of through the crown tends to be more hormonal.
Oh, yeah.
And then anything that's more diffuse all over, so thinning all over is some other underlying issue generally. So hormonal generally you'll see it through the scalp, that thinning through the scalp.
Yeah.
Men and women sometimes they can start at the temple, sometimes they can start here at the crown for women more often than not. So if you find that you're a female, obviously males, they have that classic picture, but if you're a female and you're thinning through the crown, it could be hormonally driven. More so than, say, inflammation or nutrient deficiencies and things like that we talked about.
It's crazy. And just I've got a paper here that goes through all of them, and there's so many treatments for your hair. One I wanted to pick out was caffeine.
Yeah, caffeine, because you get a lot of caffeine shampoos.
Yeah, you do. And that helps with strength, and that's a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor too. So you've got all these natural, I mean, God, we've been through a lot, haven't we? So internally, you could take those herbs and minerals we talked about, biotin's a good one, to add to there. You've got those other topical herbs that I came up with, those just 3 ingredients or 4 ingredients.
The super formulation.
Super formulation.
Everyone's going to run out and do now, I reckon.
But hemp oil, I mean,
yeah, that's crazy. I never thought of that.
No, I didn't. I just fluked upon the study. So, I mean, no, skillfully felt.
Oh, no, you were searching for that for hours, Steve.
Hours and hours.
Yeah, hours.
No, I just found it.
I have a question around that. Yeah. How long have you been using it for?
Only about 3 days.
Okay. I feel like this has happened recently. It's funny when we research a topic, we start doing a lot of the stuff that we research to test it out.
To me, I didn't really care as much as probably some other guys would, or especially women. But I thought, gee, this is like peppermint oil and rosemary oil. It's going to be good for my brain.
Accessible,
peppermint oil is great for headaches too.
Yeah, really good.
We did an aromatherapy headache. So putting that on your head.
Yeah.
I like to think that if you can put it on your head and it does get absorbed topically, that it's going to be non-toxic.
Yep.
And really simple. And if you're out there and you're really worried about your hair and you're on these medications, you can do this as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And show that it was more effective than minoxidil which means that can save you a bundle of money.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, or just put it all in one bottle and put it on. I mean, you can really, the world's your oyster depending on how, you could put a couple of drops of rosemary in your shampoo if that's all you wanted, or you could do what I do, which is half-ass attempt to fix it. Or you could go the whole hog and take oral and even medications or whatever. You've got. This is just an option, isn't it? It's just options for you.
So let's summarise.
Yeah, let's summarise.
So if you are experiencing hair loss, male or female, and if it's through the crown of your head, generally it's more hormonal. So you want to work on that hormonal balance. Women particularly, there's a lot we can do: estrogen, progesterone, your androgens, the iron. So if you have any nutrient deficiencies, if you're having more diffuse hair loss, look at nutrient deficiencies. Look at stress, chronic stress. Look at any inflammatory conditions or inflammation. Even scalp-wise, any fungal infections. A lot of infections on the scalp that people aren't aware of. And so going to see someone to have that checked. So and then treat those issues, and then that should help with your hair. But if you have the hormonal issue, then a lot of the things that we've talked about today, give them a go. And a lot of the natural things, obviously, pharmaceutical, talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
But the other ones, give them a go and see if that can help.
When I was in the pharmacy, minoxidil tablets were out of stock. Because there must have been some big podcast on it, and or some advertising something, and it's absolutely gone nuts. So that's why I bought it up, the tablets. And it's incredible because it was a failed medicine for your blood pressure. It only dropped it a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it's a great thing. It's like the reinvention of medicines. So you can take the first thing you can do if you're a male like me is just ignore and go bald. Who cares? Yeah. Second thing is you can do what I'm doing, which is something just a little bit, and it's all natural.
Yeah.
Can't hurt, might help.
That's right.
And the research is pretty good on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty good. The third thing you can do is go the whole medical pathway and do the natural stuff if you wanted to, and then, hope for the best.
Yeah.
But there's no cure. When there's not a cure.
Not for male pattern baldness, it's in males and even in women. There's the genetic component, as we said. I think for women too, they don't go fully bald. So they can have the androgenic alopecia, but they won't go fully bald like a man. They won't lose their hairline generally. Yeah. It'll just go really thin through the crown. Not very often you'd see an older woman with completely, I have seen with the bald top of their head, but generally not. It's thinner. But in women, as I said, it's a little bit more treatable because it's more an imbalance between those androgens and then your female sex hormones. So if you can get them a little bit more balanced or postmenopausally, if you can work on your insulin levels and keeping your androgens, balanced, that can be helpful for women. For men, yes, you can work on that 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. Give them a go.
Absolutely.
So, there's things you can try.
Cool. Well, I'm going home to put some stuff on my head now.
I think everyone's going to race out and make that formulation.
Well, I'm going to add to it.
Okay.
Yeah, just some more essential. I'm going to put the curcumin oil.
Are you?
Yeah.
We'll know next fortnight when we come and see when he comes in with a yellow head.
Because I'm going to ask one of the girls to get a sample from the stock we've got out the back.
Oh, no.
We've recorded that. No, I won't do that. I'll get some from the farms. Cheap stuff.
It is cheap. Yeah, and you don't need to buy the super expensive cumin if you're going to put it on your head.
I'm going to put it on my head.
We'll see.
I'm going to come in like a blonde.
Watch this space, people. In the next 6 months, let's come back and Steve will have the big afro.
Yeah, that's it. Big afro. That'll be it. Yeah, like my old days. All right. Well, this has been fun.
That's been fun.
I feel more enlightened now about it all. So thanks, Nic, and we'll be back next week.
We will. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See ya.